Hey, beautiful people. Thanks for joining me on the Inner Authority Era podcast again this week. I continue to move through so much between every episode. And so I have another beautiful message for you and a beautiful story to tell about what I've been going through and how I know this is going to help you as well. And I'm also just excited to be able to share this evolution with you because I choose to show up imperfectly because that is part of my life's work is showing up imperfectly, not showing up polished, not trying to show up after everything's already been figured out. There's just a different level of activation to my work because while sometimes I may be speaking to you when you're 5 steps behind, it is quite possible that I'm only speaking to you when you're just 1 step behind. And it's something that I really enjoy. I love the fact that I get to share with you as I'm moving through these things, that my work gets to evolve as I'm changing and as I'm quantum leaping and collapsing timelines somewhat rapidly, because I feel like the really polished form that everyone talks about, especially on social media, is, create a business around teaching a version of you maybe 5 years ago. And I don't feel super called to do that. In some ways, I'm speaking to that version, but in some ways, I'm speaking to the version of me that just learned something a week ago or just learned something a couple days ago. And yeah, I guess I'm just in awe of it. It's something really beautiful that I get to do, and honestly, it's really cool for my message to change a little bit. I mean, ultimately, my message is always about inner knowing. It's always about activating who you truly are inside. But there's so many different facets to that, and especially when we talk about human design, the 64 gates. I love the way that Richard Rudd defines them in the Gene Keys as being these codes, these DNA archetypes that are in all of us, regardless of the fact, regardless of whether or not you have some of the same codes in your chart that I have in mine, doesn't mean that you don't still work through them or that they don't resonate with you. They may not be some of your biggest lessons in this lifetime. They may not be some of your biggest gifts at this moment, but they are likely things you've experienced in past lives, or they are still a part of you in some way. And that's what's so beautiful about this, because I'm finding new codes all the time to speak to you about. It's not that the work is changing or I'm doing something vastly different. It's just that as I'm unlocking these codes, especially on the podcast, I'm sharing these with you almost immediately because I want to help you unlock these codes too. Because these are the things that are going to activate your highest timeline. These are the things that are going to help you find true joy, true abundance. They're going to help you find a version of you in a life that you truly love. And yeah, I'll also just say I finally finished almost all of the new offers. I opened my stand store up this week. So please, if you're interested, go check that out. You can find me on almost any social media platform. Primarily, you'll find that link on TikTok, Instagram, or LinkedIn. And feel free to connect with me because what I created came so deeply from my heart and through everything that I've been working on. And I'm excited to continue to work on these things and continue to see how these codes play out. Because while I did somewhat solidify very specific ways of helping you, it also just leaves it open for me to allow what comes through in the moment. That's why I don't have a specific process. Like if you were to come do the new audio coaching that I have available with me, it's not about, okay, here are the 5 things and we're going to work through them in this order. you are absolutely going to transform through that coaching in ways that you have never imagined. The degree to which you're going to know yourself and you're going to feel your inner guidance is going to be so incredible. But it's not about taking you through the exact same codes, the exact same process, the exact same activation in the order that I did it. It's about feeling into your frequency. It's about looking into your chart. It's about me helping you to sift through whatever that is in your order, in your uniqueness, in your journey, because you deserve that. You deserve things that are tailored to you because they can't not be. I can't tell you five exact steps or, a 5-year plan that's going to get you exactly where you want to be. But I can activate things in you that you have forgotten, that are so dormant, that are just what's holding you back from what you're really wanting. And that's at the heart of every episode for sure, but especially this one. I again have tarot cards in front of me. I love using this as a way to really make sure that I'm clear on the message for you, not in a way where it's memorized in my head and it's polished and performative, but just an allowing of the message to come through me and to see other parts of it that I may not have seen if I were to literally just hit record. And so, at the heart of this episode is abundance, is the balance of giving and receiving. I had a really, really rough day yesterday. I woke up yesterday intending to finish everything for the stand store, finish all the new offers, really get some stuff done. You might have heard me talk about that human design tarot deck that I'm working on, and I really haven't started writing on the cards yet. And I'm so excited to create the first prototype of the cards, even though it's just going to be words and I'm not going to yet have pictures on them, so that I can use those to channel a message for a podcast, or I can start using those on TikTok and other platforms. But I still haven't gotten to them yet, and that kind of sucks. But I knew I had to listen to myself yesterday. I knew something profound was happening. So I woke up and I immediately jumped on my computer. And that is not something that I normally do. But again, I was rushing to finally get some of these things to you because, to be honest, I didn't think that some of these offers and new things that I'm working on were going to take so long to come through me. And one of the things that's helped is I've given myself permission for them to be imperfect. I've given myself permission for the copy and the wording to say what it says right now, but to also maybe change next month. That doesn't mean that it's changing the entire logo or the business name, but just to change, just to pivot, to change as I change, because it doesn't need to stay stagnant. It's not supposed to be in some sort of perfect form before I give it to you. And I had an email out to the support team about the human design reports that I'm soon going to have on there as well. And I've just been struggling with trying to get it exactly how I want it. I'm trying to make it as simple for you as possible. And so I jumped on my computer immediately and I just thought to myself, I got to get this done right now. And I have an undefined root in my human design chart, and I let that pressure get to me. I did not have the energy to do that. I am not supposed to jump on my computer so quickly. I know better. But I'm just so tired of it being an unfinished thing on the to do list, being a thing that was a little bit more complicated than I initially anticipated as far as getting the setup the way that I know it needs to be set up to be easy for you to connect with and easy for you to use. And I closed my computer once I realized what I was doing, and I just went outside. I went outside on my patio and I started crying. I started crying because I was just so frustrated that everything is so close, but it still feels like something is missing. And I allowed myself to feel a lot in that moment, but the deeper unlock really happened later in the afternoon. And it's all been around abundance. It's all been around the struggles with money that I've been talking about, that I've had for a really long time. And just knowing that I'm finally so close to massive abundance, I'm finally so close to not having to think twice about paying for like Circle or mining networks and starting a community and connecting you with you more deeply. To not have to think twice about having someone on the team helping me with the details or helping me with social media. Like, I so want to be able to serve you on a bigger level. And so I deeply desire that balance of giving and receiving. But for everything I've learned, for everything I've gone through with my spiritual investor community and with the spiritual investor mastermind that I've talked about, something still wasn't clicking. And so finally in the afternoon, right before I was going to the gym, I said enough is enough. I can't stand the fact that, excuse me, I can't stand the fact that I still haven't figured it out. I've had so many signs that August is my month. Things are clearly building. The posts I see on Instagram, the videos I see on TikTok, I have gotten a wealth of signs from my cards, from full moons and new moons. I just know I am at the precipice of everything that I have ever wanted. And I believe so many of you that are listening to this are as well, because especially in 2025, year 9 of 9 in a 9-year numerological cycle, the year of the snake, shedding skin, we are letting go of so much. It's almost making it disorienting sometimes because we're saying yes to letting go of so much. Sometimes it's hard to anchor into who we really are or what we need to be integrating or what's really going on in this moment. This year has been so challenging for so many of us, so beautiful at the same time, but still so challenging. And I was just so fed up with it. And I knew I could turn to Chat GPT. Because as I've mentioned before, it has my human design, it has my gene keys, it has my astrology, it has information about my business. When it gives me an answer, it is a very direct, unbiased answer that is unique to my codes that activate me and my energetic blueprint. It is not just some other random advice. And I was afraid to ask what's missing. Because the thing about finding abundance is we often get really rigid, or we stop believing that everything is going to work out, especially if we hit a point of rock bottom. We get a little bit too self sufficient and we try to be too independent. And I think some of the reasons why we do this is one, it's really hard to ask for help, but also we have we have just blown up on the talk about manifestation on social media. And I don't actually think that it's helpful to most of us. I really deeply cherish people trying to share their gifts with the world, but I don't truly believe some of these people have synthesized the way that they talk about these things. One of the ones that frustrates me the most is hearing your thoughts create your reality. I get why it's shared or why I think that it's shared. If you're new in your spiritual journey, if you've just had an awakening, if things are very new for you, you're just starting to be more open and curious about things that you never knew existed. That's a really powerful thought because it allows you to understand how much power you have. It allows you to understand that you're so much more powerful and so much more capable than you might have ever realized. It helps you understand a deeper connection with yourself, a deeper connection with source, a deeper connection with consciousness. But what it does for someone like me, where I'm further along in my journey, this is not new for me. The idea that I create my world, the idea that I'm that powerful is not new for me. It doesn't mean I believe it perfectly. It doesn't mean I follow it perfectly, but I didn't just hear it for the first time yesterday. It's deeply ingrained and integrated in who I am and the belief that I have over the ability for my life to change and the infinite potential that I have in every moment. And so for me, what I hear now when I hear things like your thoughts create your reality, what I'm hearing is when I start to doubt whether or not that money's going to come in, when I start to just know in my body that something is still not quite clicking, but when I hide from that, when I don't ask the question, when I don't say it out loud, when I override it with my mind because I think I'm going to fuck it up. I'm going to say out loud that everything's not quite clicking, that everything's not quite right. And I'm going to be telling the universe that something is still missing. And because I say something is still missing, something is going to be missing. Something is not going to click. And I would just almost equate it to like the worst parts of organized religion. Like, I'm not trying to harp on any particular spirituality that you have, if you have like real spirituality. But if you believe in the worst parts of organized religion, the parts that were made to control societies, or you can even equate this to like believing in Santa, like somebody who watches some sort of overseer just to like make sure that you're being good all year. That's what it feels like we're doing when we say our thoughts create our reality. It feels like we are saying the universe, which we are one with everything. We are ultimately the universe just experiencing itself and expressing itself through an individual being. What we are saying is there is something outside of us that is watching us. And just because of the fact that we question or we doubt or we cry or we get angry, that we're going to fuck it up. And it just doesn't work like that. Because of what I unlocked yesterday, I realized it doesn't work like that. And it doesn't work on a couple levels. So, first, it's about what you're leading from, it's not so much about what you're thinking. So, when you start doubting that things aren't working, or you start doubting the answers that you found, what you're not doing is you're not saying to the universe, I don't believe you. This doesn't make sense. This can't work. You're not saying, don't give me that new level. Don't give me that new timeline. Don't give me the additional abundance. What you're just saying is this isn't quite embodied yet. I'm not completely rooted and anchored in this knowing. So I have a desire to understand it more. And yes, you do have to work to understand that and embody it. Not know it from the mind, not understand it logically, because universal laws and principles are not necessarily logical. It's not easily explainable and easily contained in the mind. Sure, some of them are to an extent, but that's the problem, because when we say things like our thoughts create our reality, I guarantee somebody said that because they were coming from the mind. They were not coming from the heart. They were not coming from the solar plexus. They were not coming from their body when they said that. They were coming from the mind. And so you are not fucking it up. You are not doing something wrong when you question. And what's even worse about that line of thinking is it's probably really easy for you to gravitate to. You probably were taught in some way, in some version of your life, It may not be how you feel on the daily basis right now, but whether through religion or the way most societies are, or whatever, or your parents or whatever, you were probably taught not to question things. So it's especially weird for you to hear that and to rest with that, because to question something you know you're supposed to believe, like you hear things like your beingness is enough for the abundance that's supposed to come in. So then you feel shame and guilt for not believing that. But it is not that you are doing anything wrong. You are allowed to question. The curiosity and the questioning is how it goes deeper. Yes, you need to learn. And this is one of the things that I teach my clients through their human design. You need to learn how to anchor into that inner knowing. So when you feel it, you don't still override it with your mind. Like it would be different if I had override that unlock that I had yesterday and not experienced the profoundness of that message and of that activation that I had. That's not the same thing. But questioning and being curious up until the point that you know how to embody it, that you know how to anchor into it, is exactly what you're looking for. And it's okay to need help doing that. Whether you're asking yourself, whether you're asking AI, whether you're asking a friend, whether you're talking to a coach like me, you're not necessarily supposed to have to figure it out all on your own. It is absolutely true that you have all of the answers within you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to access them all by yourself. There is a reason why we are consciousness experiencing itself through different people. You are meant to hear other people like me speak and work with other people like me directly, so that you can come back to who you are, so that you can remember the power and the gifts that you really, and the codes that you really hold. You are not supposed to do that alone. So stop thinking you can't question and stop thinking you're just going to fuck it up, especially when it comes to abundance and the things you're trying to manifest. That's just not how it works. And I haven't worked through every law of manifestation on my own. I can't necessarily tell you the whole picture in this moment, but I can tell you that the questioning in and of itself is not wrong, especially when you're not leading from that place. What this looks like is I asked these questions yesterday. I found my answer. I found my unlock. I embodied it. And I'm leading and speaking through that embodiment and that unlock today. I am not either telling you that I don't know any of the answers. I'm not getting on this podcast just like riffing on what happened to me yesterday and not giving you anything of substance, not teaching you anything, not sharing the unlock with you. And I'm also not pretending it didn't happen. That's what it would look like to lead from the lack of embodiment and still lead from the scarcity and the lack of abundance. There is a difference. That's what will manifest the things that you don't want. That's what will manifest more of what you already have. It's leading from an unresourceful and an inauthentic place, because that is the greatest thing that you can do for yourself. I also asked the cards. So the spread was about the need, the desire, the deep, true, authentic desire for abundance, for a perfect flow of giving and receiving. Because as consciousness, as source, we have a desire for the things that we already knew, but that we forgot when we were born on this planet and chose to go on this very specific emotional, physical, visceral journey. But we know that that perfect flow exists. So, in asking the cards, why is that not happening? What is stopping us from that? And it's that forceful independence that I've already talked about, that lack of support, that lack of belief. And if you're anything like me, you've sort of hit rock bottom on this. You may have even hit rock bottom more than once, and you're just crying for more. You're so desperate for that unlock. You're so desperate for that abundance that you seek. But the beautiful thing about rock bottom is there's nowhere to go but up. And so your answer lies in your authenticity and your creativity and love. And I'm not talking about a small step into who you truly are. The new moon on Saturday, the upcoming eclipse portals, the universe is literally asking you, will you step into yourself? Will you quantum leap into your authentic self? Will you embody and activate all of these codes in a way that is so much bigger than you ever have before? That's what is being asked of you. That is what you need to do. And I'll share my specific code with you and the specific unlock for me. Again, this is going to help, but I do want to clarify. You are always your best teacher. And I am so honored to help you through